Hello traders, it's Samurai Trader here. Welcome to the training session today. In this session I'm going to be covering a lot of information and a number of ideas and strategies on how to achieve your daily profit targets, whether it be $100 a day, $200 a day, $400 a day, or $1,000 a day. I'm going to be sharing some ideas and strategies that I use and some of my other winning traders use, which are absolutely critical in my opinion to your success as a trader. If you haven't already done so, please go to full screen, which is down the bottom here, and because we're going to be looking at some Word documents and looking at some charts as we go through the program. As usual, I need to put up the disclaimer. If you haven't already read that, please do. Please understand, of course, in trading, whether you're trading stocks, futures, or forex, there's always a risk, and you never trade with the rent money, or what I call scared money. So today I'm going to really be focusing on your daily trading plan, and I think this is beautifully said here. A good plan is like a roadmap. It shows you the final destination and usually the best way to get there. That is absolutely critical, because when I look at the traders that are doing it tough, most of them, and even most traders, don't have a trading plan or anything they refer to. Remember, when you're actively day trading or even swing trading, you're processing a lot of information and you've got a lot of thoughts, and quite often you're on your own for 1, 2, 3, 4 hours at a time, and you know those demons pop up and so you need a roadmap and something to visually keep you on track. Now, another critical thing before we go to this Word document, I want to mention this. Anita Cobain, who's a great American speaker, said this in a seminar once. Actually, I got it out of recording if I remember correctly. Nothing can add more power to your life than concentrating all your energies on a limited set of targets. So what that means to me when it comes to trading, and you hear me preach this regularly, focus on 1 to 3, maybe on the outside as you become experienced, 4 strategies, but master one. And I'm going to be showing you 2 key ones you can really master very quickly that will really accelerate your success as a trader. So let's go and have a look at the chart here for a moment. Now, before I pull the rules up, this is the NQ 55 tick. So this is the after hours market. So when the main US session closes, many of you that have listened to my YouTube videos know I trade after hours, either the European market, the Euro Stoxx 50, which I love, or the NQ 55 tick, or the 89 ES, sometimes a 133. But once again, getting back onto this, I focus usually on one chart and one market at any one time, because as a day trader there's usually tons of opportunities. So one trade setup that you really should consider, which is really easy to learn, is your 34 bounce. So the 34 bounce, you got one there, you had one here, here. If we just move along here for a moment, we had one here. Moving along a little further, you had one here, one here, one here. So what you want to do is when you first start to trade is look for trades that are fairly mechanical. That is, when I say fairly, my trades are very rules-based, and I'd classify them 95% rules-based. And the reason there's some personal discretion, because you need to consider things like, have we gone into a consolidation zone, or do we have a red flag news announcements coming out, etc. And that's one of the things that we've got over some of our automated trading strategies, is that the human eye, or the human brain, is the greatest computer there is. Now, just before we go to the sheet I want to show you, and you'll be able to, if you'd like a copy of it, please drop me an email, and I'll pull the email address at the end of this, and I'll send you a sample copy, or you just stop the screen or stop the video and you'll be able to type that up separately. But if you want me to email it, please let me know. So a couple of really high profitability trades that are doing really well for a lot of my students, and is the T20. If you look at that move there for this T20, this T20. You had one going right up here. Sorry, I'll just pull this screen across. That was a T20 with the trend, another T20. It's a very high sorry about that. It's a very high profitability trade, and one of the reasons being it's getting you in to a new trend very early. Now there are two ways of trading the T20. Of course, you either use a trigger line 8 or you use the 34. My students know what that is. And just before we pull the trading rules up, I just want to point something out. These are two quick live trades I took last night, and I had an email from a student a couple of days ago from LA, and he said to me, what are my favorite sessions? Well, the evenings work really well, and the problem with the US session for me is your market's open at midnight, and you can probably hear I'm very raspy now. I've been up since 3:30 this morning trading, and so the hours are a bit upside down. So I'm looking forward to moving back to LA, because over there it worked fantastic trading the NQ from LA. I mean, the market closes at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm an early riser, so it works really well. So but you've got these markets are operating 24 hours a day. So I'll trade usually from about 6 p.m. To about 8 or 9. I'll put a few hours in. If I hit my profit target or my goal, I'll then finish for the day. And I always get up about 3:30, unless I've got an all-night student, say in Europe or the US, when then I've got to get up at midnight if we're doing an all-day session. So they're sort of my hours, but very rarely do I trade any more than 2 to 3 hours live trading, because I can usually hit my profit target on the lower time frames. But one thing I want to say on that, I trade fairly quickly, and increase the time frame if it's too quick for you. So this, for an example, is a 55 tick is impossible during the main market hours. The 133 works really well for me. I've got a client who emailed me the other day, said he likes to trade the 189 NQ during market hours. So whatever works, just play around with this. But notice your T20s can really pick it up. Your T20s, your 34Bs. This trade down here, let me just quickly explain this one here. Classic T10, and I front run this, and most of you know I usually target 14 ticks anyway. So that was a fairly, well, that trade actually took about half an hour if I remember correctly, 45 minutes. And then I had a nice pivot bounce just here, and pivot bounces, you had pivot bounces here, pivot bounces there. Now one thing I do want to say on the pivot bounces, when your longer term moving averages are squeezing up, be very careful in taking pivot bounces. You want to leave some room. Is that if you go back and just play with this, when you've got plenty of space like this, you can generally squeeze out and achieve your points. But if you've got confluence or everything consolidating in an area, just be a lot more cautious. But then of course, as a new trader, if you're a new trader, you're only going to be trend trading only, aren't you? Of course you are. So trend trading, we follow the 34. Look at this, you're taking all of these 34s, and if we look at this here, you actually had a fantastic day trading the 34s right up to the main market hours, or the main market open. So I then took a pivot bounce here, which was also a T89. Now remember what I say about closing or making or ensuring that you enter on the close of the candle. On this one here I got in on the close, but actually I got filled on the next candle, and that was good for 15 ticks. I squeezed 15 out, but the market was very slow there, and it was bad time for me because as I mentioned, I'm up at 3:30 trading. So it was still achieved a good percentage of my 400 a day per contract, and once again, I'm a sniper. I really target my trade. So let's now go and have a look at some ideas I got for you. Now what I've got here is a sample checklist. Now in my case here, where I'm now targeting 400 plus per contract, you want to have that in writing, traders, so you can have it mentally there. And once again, you're going to be reviewing this, and I've got lots of versions of this, and this is one that I typed up with a client a couple of weeks ago. But once again, take this and type it up as what suits you. And there's a lot of information on here, but there's a lot of things that we are processing. Once again, after 90 days, a lot of this becomes automated, and you start to develop the skill that I call blink. A blink of the eye, you can see the trade setup, and that's really where I want to take you. Now, another thing that I'm now doing, the more I've now trained hundreds of traders, and the fast track program, we've got well over 200 odd clients with that now, and I've trained over 2,000 traders over years. Is that I'm really learning. I've got to really break it down and simplify it and really get down to the very basics. And the big one I want to say here is your 8 EMA and your 34. So in future trainings, I'm going to be spending a lot more time talking about the 8 EMA and the 34, because it's simple and easy to learn. Back onto the trading plan, type this up, have it in front of you. And a statement here: I hold myself responsible for a higher standard than anybody expects from me, because over 70% of the traders I deal with are experienced, and many of them have failed or are not making enough money or finding it really tough. So what does that mean? That means, from my experience, they need to lift their standards, such as cutting out counter trend trading or the impulse trades or moving the stops. And we're not going to go too much into the psychology right now, but you know, they need to lift their standards. If you're not achieving the income you want, you need to lift your standards. Now for me, and this is my statement, I'm patient, disciplined, and focused. I'm patient, disciplined, and focused. Okay, so getting on some of the things here. Have you checked for red flag news? Compulsory, of course. Is there any major news announcements? Stay 100% focused, no distractions. All right, get rid of the forums. Stop. Personally, I can't read a book, and you know, so I can perhaps have the TV going in a really slow market, but I can't read, or you know, I've got to really be fairly focused when I trade. That's why I really don't like live trading with a student, because I need focus. And if I'm chatting now, if I'm live trading, say for 2 or 3 hours while I've got a student here, I'll say, right, I need to sit there and not do too much talking. Write down the questions as you go. I really like to be focused. You know, there's a lot of people out there, and a lot of my clients are a lot smarter than me, so they've got no problems. But hey, I'm just talking about what works for me. Now, how do I achieve 4 by 21 tick trades each session? Because the less trades you do, the better. Now typically, for me to achieve my goals, I'm doing around 8 trades to allow usually 1 or 2 losses. Some I might get out early, some I may let run. And let me just quickly show you this one. And those of you that know me well know that one of my objectives is to increase my profit targets, because for really over 15 years I've been a scalper, and it's a really bad habit to break. And so on a T20, last week I think it was, I picked up 28 ticks, which is 3,120 less some brokerage, which was 75% of my target on my 10 contracts over a few hours. And that was really difficult for me, because my habit is to scalp. But one of the things I want to do, and let's go back to the back here, where are we here? Sorry traders, let's go back to my Word document, because one of the things I want to do is make trading easier. And trading easy usually is less trades and less time trading, because trading is about lifestyle. So 4 trades a day, and where I say trades 1, 2, and 3 here, what I mean by that, traders, is waves 1, 2, and 3 in a new trend. Now use your T20 and maybe your T23. That is a confirmation of, that is the breakout of a new high or low when you've got a new trend. But of course, on your trades 1 and 2, you're going to be able to squeeze a lot more points or pips out of that, because you're into a fresh trend. Follow the 8 and the 34. Use the 8 EMA now for entries. Now you may be experimenting with some things. If so, put a question mark on it. You know, can you use it for your entries? Well, of course you can, and you use that with the close over to go long or undergo short, providing your 8 is trending in your trade direction. Now, very important rule, and many of you are seeing me fall victim to this, and I still will do this jump into a trade, particularly if I've been talking to someone or doing something, before the candle is closed. Now, how often, experienced traders, have you jumped into a trade when the candle hasn't closed only to have a reversal candle set up? It happens all the time. So I really recommend that the candle must close in a direction of the trade. And the other thing is what I call a full candle. Now, a full candle means almost an engulfing candle. I prefer an engulfing candle in the trade direction. Confirm the trend with your 834.89s. If you're using an anchor chart, of course, look at that. I don't always use an anchor chart. I just tend to find that the 200 on my chart's a good direction. Where are the pivots? And by the way, a couple of emails I've received about pivots this week. Just remember, not all pivots are the same, so you need to test different pivots, and also whether you're using a local time on your trading platform or the exchange time. So just in the training course we cover that a bit, but just be aware of that. If anyone's got any questions, drop me an email on that. Chop warning: if you've got 4 to 5 candles sideways, you look at the 34 sideways, your 89, 200, just be very cautious in that area. Drawing trend lines, parallel lines as you go. Do you have a higher low and a higher high, or a lower high and a lower low? These are all the things that you want to be looking at. Entries, for entries, what are your rules? Now, let me just say this: if you've seen my training videos for my students that are watching this, you know that I talk about this in the course, but let me tell the general public this. The 8 EMA really matches the zero lag that I use. I just like using the zero lag because of the colors when you get the turns. However, the 8 EMA is a great substitute for the zero lag. So if you've got the 8 EMA, you don't need the zero lag that you see me use. But what you're looking for is a close above to go long, or under to go short, providing it's trending in your direction. Now, just have all your different rules that you've got here. Trend trading. Now, and just on that point, here is something we put together for one of my traders last week. Let me show you this. I have a trader that continually excuse me, takes impulse trades, and so therefore what we did, we typed this up, and he's got multiple screens as well, and I've had him sticky tape this over the screen where he has his dome on a separate screen, and he's got to lift that up to place a trade, because what we're looking at doing here is breaking the habits that he has. And it's a little bit like a trigger finger. He'll see the trade, he'll take an impulse trade, and particularly in his case we're stamping out counter trend trades. Once again, 90% of the traders I'm dealing with have got problems with counter trend trading. So this is something that he does. He's got it over his trading dome, and so if you like, he's got to lift it up. He's got to do something physically, and hopefully, well, we know that will help retrain him over a period of time. So here, if you're trend trading only, don't have your counter trends on here. And of course, new traders, that's all I want you to do, is to trend trade. Once you master each setup, you master T1, and initially you master it by 100 trades on the simulator flawlessly, and if you break the trading rules, do you know what you do? You go back and start that 100 again. Yes, it might take you 3 months to master, but you've got to start trading correctly. There's only one way, and that's the right way, because once again, we don't jump into an aeroplane and just say, oh heck, what if we crash 1 or 2 times? Do we? Of course, I'll kick us out. So really important, out of a flight simulator, I meant to say. Sorry traders, I'm rushing through this because I want to try to keep the video short. T2, and really T2 is probably my most favorite here, and once again, master it. Own the strategy, and you could just trading the T2, and if you take the T10 because they work together, they're the only trade setups that you ever need for the rest of your life. And the T20, you're going to be stopped out changing trend. You're going to have a few false breakouts, but there are things that you can do to improve your trading stats on your T20, such as only take a T20 after you've got a trend line break, and when you've got divergence, and maybe after at least 3 to 4 trades in a trend. But I cover all of that separately for members, so there's a lot of things you can do. But getting back to this, is what I want to say, traders, here is have a trading checklist that you check off. Have your desk clean and tidy. Once again, this is a serious business where you can make serious money, but what it takes is absolute focus, patience, and discipline. So traders, if you're not already a member, and this is where my current members can sign off now if you wish, but if you're not already a member, you can go to my website and purchase the Day Traders Fast Track program, where I now cover over 12 different strategies, over 20 hours of recordings, and these strategies work whether you trade Forex, futures, or stocks, whether you're a swing trader, or I focus, of course, I'm a day trader. I go into it comprehensively. Now, once again, my videos are raw, real, and direct. There's no big fancy manuals to download or anything like that, and I'm adding new materials all the time. And traders, let's finish it there. Please go to my website. If you'd like a copy of anything or like some further information, please drop me an email at trader@imadaytrader.com, or go to my website. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel to be kept up to date. Let me get this right, Joe, I am tired. Up to date with new videos, and on average now I'm producing 3 new videos a week. Thank you, traders.